are here with Lara Sass, and we're continuing really talking about trust in estates. So important during this time. It's a tough subject to talk about. Lara, let me ask you a question. First of all, thanks for being here. You know,
Thank
it's
you.
a tough subject, certainly when things are going well, getting people to really understand their mortality and fill out certain documents, including a will.
Yes.
Tell me your experience through the pandemic. Do you find people a little bit more receptive to actually discussing these types of issues?
Oh, absolutely. For me, typically as a trust and estates attorney, my biggest barrier to getting clients to come to the table is facing their mortality. In this case, coronavirus poses an imminent threat, which is really difficult for people to ignore. So I find that clients are much more amenable to taking action now than they otherwise normally would be.
What type of calls are you getting? Are the, the healthcare proxies, the living wills? Where's that one, Miss Sass, you got to help me here. I'm really nervous. What's that frantic phone call that you're getting?
Yeah, I mean, the frantic phone call is, I'm so nervous if I end up in the hospital. Who's making medical decisions? Who's handling my finances? So it's really what I call those ancillary documents of like, who's the agent that's making the decisions for them if they're hooked up to a machine and they can't act on their own.
So what do you do? I mean, I know it's hard. Notaries are tough to get a hold of. Signatures, we got to talk about that. What do you do when, let's say it was myself and I'm a little nervous, I have a pre-existing condition, I have a child. Yeah. I call you up, I'm like, okay, let's get something going here because I'm not feeling so good right now.
Yeah.
How does that work, you and I?
Yeah. So really, we've been doing as much as we can remotely. People don't want to step into a lawyer's office right now. They want to handle as much as they can from home. Before COVID, statutes in New York and elsewhere stated that you had to sign documents in the presence of two witnesses and or a notary public. And so how do you get that during a pandemic? How do you get it during quarantine or when there are social distancing requirements? And so here in New York, Cuomo introduced an executive order that allowed for both remote notarization and remote witnessing. He's extended that for several months now. It's still in effect. And so we're able to do everything remotely, from meeting with clients via Zoom calls, getting documents to them through our online portal, having them review it, and then signing everything remotely.
Do you need to file those documents in court, whether it's surrogate's court or anywhere else, or can you basically just hold off on that for now?
No. So you never really have to file any of that during someone's life. And so especially now, no, I have actually my clients handle all of their original documents, keep them in a safe or in a drawer in their apartments. And I take copies of everything. I keep it securely on my cloud and sort of that's it.
So Lara, what do you recommend? If someone's watching, I mean, what are the documents that you're saying at this point, you got to see me, this is what you got to get? Tell me.
Yeah. So basically it's a will, healthcare proxy, power of attorney, living will. A will states what happens to your assets at death. You name guardians if you have minor children. You name fiduciaries called an executor who is responsible for handling your estate at death. If you don't have a will in place or a revocable trust, which actually gets you out of the probate process, then the state decides what happens to your assets. Those beneficiaries under state law may not be the people who'd otherwise want assets passing to. So will is critically important to have in place. And then a healthcare proxy, you name an agent to make medical decisions for you in the event that you're unable to do that yourself. With a power of attorney, you name an agent to make financial decisions for you if you're unable to do that yourself.
Are you doing any estate planning as well, letting those who come in know the best way to prepare their estate so financially their heirs are protected?
Yeah, 100%. So we always do an intake at the beginning. I get an understanding of what does their family situation look like? What do their assets look like? And then we sort of plan, do we have estate tax considerations, income tax worries? And we plan holistically. For most of my core business is high net worth planning, but we've expanded it through what's called remoteestateplan.com, where we're able to do planning for anybody regardless of wealth. And again, it's all done remotely and online. So it makes it a lot easier today.
Okay, Lara, let's talk a little bit of a touchy subject, and that's loans to family members.
Yes.
Which unfortunately, we're all either part of it, or we're either the one asking, we're the one loaning. It's just the nature of the beast here. Tell me, how do you deal with this type of situation?
So excellent question, because right now we have historic lows in terms of interest rates. I mean, some of the interest rates that we have on these vehicles are the lowest I've seen in my 20 plus years of practice. And so it actually is a really good time to make intrafamily loans from an estate planning perspective. But it also offers other benefits. So there are no credit checks or reporting, obviously, when you're loaning to family members. There are no loan costs. And often the person who's lending the money to loved ones, they're getting a better return on these interest rates than they can with cash sitting in a bank account that makes nothing.
Wow. I mean, it's just the conversation itself is just hard to just even imagine, but I guess.
I know.
It really happens. All right, some final tips. We don't have too much time. Somebody's watching, right? And they're a little bit uneasy. Is there a particular document that they should be hitting before any other documents? Do they get it all packaged together? Do you maybe have a website or something else that you have that makes it even easier for them? Tell me what you got there.
Yeah, I mean, healthcare proxy, power of attorney, living will, which I had mentioned earlier, so critically important. People are ending up in hospitals quickly. If God forbid it really goes downhill, you're being intubated. So you want someone there who can make medical decisions if you're unable to do so and handle your finances. I have the website I mentioned, remoteestateplan.com. Everything can be done super quickly, inexpensively, and it's really important to get documents in place.
Okay, one final question, because this has been on my mind with this whole thing. In terms of any type of liability, have you come across any kind of issues where any type of people are bringing actions against somebody else because of this pandemic, or, not acting on my behalf when you should have, acting improperly on my behalf? Have you found any of this at all?
I thankfully, I have not come across that in my own practice, but I've heard a lot of mumblings of it myself. And, also with this remote witnessing, you're a bit at risk. Does the person have capacity to sign these documents? Were they signed correctly? If there's no attorney present, is that an issue? So yeah, there are mumblings that there's problems with estate planning during the pandemic.
All right, Lara Sass, all good stuff. I know it's a difficult time for all of us. Hopefully the next time we meet, maybe it'll be in the studio. I got, big crew, lots of cameras, not just my kitchen. Okay?
Yes.
And listen, really great stuff. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, that's all we have for our show today. I'd like to thank our guests for joining us, and of course you, the viewers, for watching. If you have any questions about today's show or would like to see a future topic discussed, please email me at davidlesh@bronxnet.org. From all of us at Today's Verdict, know your issues, reach a verdict, learn the law. See you next time.